give us a second, folks, please? There's a system here, and I shuffled them all together when I grabbed them off the desk. I was like, oh, stupid. Okay, you ready?
Yep.
I'd like to call to order the Shandaken Town Board meeting for August 2nd, 2021. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge of Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Board Member DeSclafani.
Here.
Board Member Steen. Board Member Storms. Board Member Van Blarkum.
Here.
Supervisor Stanley.
Here. Just a note, I'd like to, whoever's that was, thank you for the reminder, because I've got to do it myself. Silence your cell phones, please, because you may have signal here. Just give me a second on that. Okay. Ready to go. We did roll call. Sorry, it's first meeting back after a little break. Approval of the previous town board meeting, so I'll entertain a motion.
I'll make that motion.
I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. Supervisors financial report, July of 2021. Vital statistics, $140. Police fees, $110. Ambulance fees, $15,339.47. Town clerk fees, Easy Pass, $117.50. Cell tower rental, $1,339.76. Building permit fees, $4,428. Dog licenses, $95.50. Planning fees, $625. Fines and forfeitures, $18,575.94. Unclassified revenue from summer recreation, $690, and highway revenue of $7,609.20 for a grand total of $49,070.37. Communications. I didn't have time to write anything up, so I'll just kind of wing it. First off, you'll notice that Councilman Steen is not here. I'd like to congratulate Kyle Steen and Jessica and the Steen family on the birth of their daughter, Freya, born on Saturday, July 31st. And congratulations to them. So he is not in attendance because I told him I'd kick his butt if he showed up with having a new baby. So God bless them, and we wish them well. And take all the time you need, Kyle. We're hoping you're with her right now, but take all the time you need, brother. Faye is unable to attend because she had a previous commitment with the Phoenicia Business Association hosting a meeting for them, so she's in attendance for that. First off, I want to thank people out there. For those of you that knew or didn't know, I had a little health scare in June, and I went up to Albany Med, and I was such a great patient on the first night, they decided to keep me for an extended stay. I have a little rough road ahead of me, but I'm doing fine. Change of diet, things are much, much better. Feel great. I'm going to keep working on this, but it's going to be a long road. But I want to thank everybody who reached out to me out there trying to find out. I did kind of close it up for a moment, tighten up the ship, if you will. And anyway, back out and about, and I came back into work last week, some point partially. So I'm in and out of the office the best I can with the energy that I can expend when I can. So thank you again for reaching out to me, and I really appreciate my family does too. So thank you very much. But on the mend and looking forward to brighter days. Secondly, for resolutions tonight are pretty easy. We have a Shandaken Septic District issue. We have to amend the contract that was currently in existence for what's called the remote sites. Now, there are 4 homes within the Shandaken Septic Maintenance District that their sites are too small to host their septic and leach field properly in accordance with the space required for law, or because of water courses or some other mitigating circumstance. With that in the contract, there was a planned site which we purchased a piece of property on Ruthenbeck Road, and that's to be for the 4 leach fields for these homes. They'll run just a small line down because it's leachate, it's generally gray water, and will leach into this field, and town maintains it. It's all fine. One site in particular over on Rudy Frank Road required an easement from another private landowner in order to cross to get to that lot. We started negotiations with that person, and basically after a year and a half, they've really come to a stall. And at this point, we need to move forward with the contract because all 4 of these homes are still waiting new septics, which are due to them. 3 of them we are moving forward with doing the construction on 3 of those homes. The 4th, and I can tell you it's the Vitarius property on Rudy Frank Road, and no fault to their own. We need to find a leach site or redirect the thing somehow, the line. The initial thought was that we go completely around the block, come around, which is going to add 2 pump chambers, of which the electric for the pump chambers would be the responsibility of the landowner, meaning they would gain cost for having their septic, whereas gravity fed, there's no cost, really. Well, there's no cost. In another route, we do have another option that came up recently, and we're going to explore that. And if we can use that as a landing site, it'll be a much actually quicker, cheaper, and really easy redesign to land on this parcel. I'm not at liberty to say, but we have started negotiation with that landowner, and so far things look positive, and they're willing to work with us, and we hope that we can resolve it that way and be the easiest for the septic district in the town and the contractor. In the meantime, we're going to have to go look at any kind of engineering. It's going to increase the cost of engineering, obviously, increase the cost of construction if we go the route as planned. But such is the nature of the beast, and we have to do what we have to do. So we want to get these other 3 homes up and running and get them completed. And at the same time, for those of you out there in the septic maintenance district who have had issues with settlement around your tanks and such, Evergreen Construction, who was due to do this construction, has been waiting on this to bring their crew rather than moving material and manpower and equipment twice. They were going to bring it all in one fell swoop, do the construction and level. When they do get here on site, hopefully we can approve this and we can get this moving shortly. They'll be around to grade out and fix any problems you may have. So if you have those kind of issues, please call my office at the town hall for the time being, and we'll put you on the list and make sure that Evergreen is aware of it, and they'll come out and take a look. So.
Rob?
Yes, sir.
I've been wondering when the work will be beginning on the site that the septic will be sent to.
That's exactly what I'm talking about.
Okay, so you don't have a date yet? of
No,
construction?
that's what we're working on right now. I'll know a date once we approve. Evergreen has already approved
Okay.
this contract. We just need to.
I'm sure it's gonna try to be before the weather.
Oh, we're hoping this month or next month, hopefully we can get something moving. Again, they put a bid out there and they're beholden to that bid, and the longer that stands, as you know, especially with the way costs are going right now, materials and everything are going through the roof. So. We had an auction of multiple items, received bids for them, and we just need to authorize those bid prices. Those are the top bids, the award-winning bids that we have received, and know that just because it says a certain vehicle, know that there was quite a bit of other things going wrong with those vehicles other than just mileage maybe. There was mechanical things, there was framework, other serious issues. That's why you'll see like $1,900 or $400 for a vehicle, because it really was, they were going to take it as a parts vehicle. The miscellaneous items, we're not going to sit here and list 51 bolts and nuts and sprockets and engines and bumpers and all kinds of plows and everything else. We do have a detailed list of those items that'll be available at the town clerk's office or the highway office or my office if you want to look at it. But ultimately tonight we just detailed the vehicles that were auctioned and just mentioned the total for the items. I think the grand total for everything said and done was near 40,000, it was 39,000 and change. Festival of Voice is coming again, and we look forward to it at the end of the month. I believe it's the 27th or the 29th. Of course, welcome everybody to attend. It's always a fun event. And they are required to submit a public assembly permit, which they do every year. They've submitted with a safety plan. We have crews ready to go to help them, and we need to approve their assembly permit. As far as summer rec, we have 2 people that ended up having to leave within the first week of camp that were necessary for the continued operation of camp, be it for a water safety instructor, which is required under New York State law to have on staff who basically knows to watch the kids while they're swimming and what their swim abilities are, where they can swim or can't swim. The second one just being a general counselor, because we need to keep a certain minimum number of ratio between the kids and the counselor, so we're replacing that counselor. We had to do it retroactive while I was out. We didn't have any board meetings in between, so thus we have a resolution tonight to hire those 2 people retroactive with the identical pay that the other people were going to get. On side note, Summer Rec took a field trip last Wednesday to the 911 Tribute Museum. Now, we've done trips before to Manhattan and the kids, the UN, things like that. We try to make it as educational as we can. And the kids go through it and they pay attention here and there and go about their day, that you're really just enjoying being in Manhattan. I have to say, this trip was different. Many of these kids were never exposed to any of this information. This is the first time they've heard it, seen it, knew what was going on. Many got really involved in asking the right questions, were really picking up on details. And as I had warned beforehand, in the museum, there's video playing of the actual event. And there was a couple kids that saw it, and it was the first time they ever saw it, and it just completely took them back. We had a lovely tour guide, Anne Van Hine, whose husband worked for NYFD and was killed on 9/11. She brought it and made it personal. She really told you, not only that what occurred that day for the people working there, but even what her life was like that day and what occurred to her personally. And really took it to heart, and it was nice to hear a personal reflection of what occurred for her and her family on that day. Quite honestly, I found out that I guess she released a novel last week talking about, recovering from that effort. And highly recommend, if you get a chance, go down to the 911 Memorial, because it really is a spectacular sight and a wonderful, solemn place. And the kids were very respectful. And while we were at the memorial itself, there are black marble. And because they recognize it gets hot, the artist rendered it a cool touch marble, which was very cool. The waterfall you see in the middle emanates from under the black marble, and you're supposed to put your hand in the water to touch the names, basically to get contact with someone you love. When she pointed out her husband's name, there was a line of kids that followed up, and she was taken aback as they all went up and wet their hands and wiped on her husband's name. So it was a very, very sweet moment. And the kids really did a lot that day. I mean, it was a special trip for a lot. So. But it was nice to see. Outside of that, we got Zoom Flume coming up next week. Just to switch gears a little bit. Go to the water park. But camp's going well. Outside of that, I don't think there's much else, unless Joyce, you have something events-wise, I'm sure.
Yeah, well, the DMV bus is going to be here Friday. Now it's back on course. We didn't have it for 14 months. And it's going to be here Friday, 10 to 1, 2 to 3. You can't do CDL license or enhanced license. And also, before you call my office to tell me you have a bear problem, and I have to give you a speech that we don't have a bear problem, we have a people problem, please remove all your bird feeders, secure your your garbage, and don't leave pet food out on your porch. Most of the people I've talked to, they do have bird feeders. These include hummingbird feeders. Before you call the DEC or us, please do that. Try to scare them away with loud noises, car horns. This was a young bear, so the DEC is not going to really come out. You know, if it's a big bear and he's, you know, looks dangerous and he keeps coming around and you don't have garbage, definitely call the DEC. They have a 24-hour number on our yellow cards. They're available at all the post offices, all our information cards. But that does help. They really do love those bird feeders. You wouldn't think that they would, you know, a big bear like that, why bother? That's the big problem. So that's it. Yeah?
It's like candy.
Yep. And they can get in cars too, so don't leave your garbage or food in your cars. And that's it.
I know there's a chicken barbecue at the Big Indian Firehouse this Saturday.
Yes.
Takeout only.
There's-
Always a good barbecue there.
Yeah, all our events is on the website as well as Channel 23, and our website is shandaken.us.
Okay.
And of course, we post on Facebook.
Very good. On a last note, I will say, if you did not see it, Saturday up at Bel Air, there was a little over 5,000 people in attendance to a concert. And I have to say, what a great event. What a great event, period. What a great event for this town. You could not find a room from Pine Hill to Fleischman's at all. At all. I mean, literally the day of, we were still receiving calls. The restaurants were busy with folks. I mean, there was people everywhere. It was quite a big crowd. But welcome DST to partnering with ORDA at any time to provide something like that again. We do have a couple things that need to be worked out for the next time regarding town and services, but we have good faith that we are going to resolve those much better logistically, and we certainly hope to see more events like that, and we'll just have to coordinate better a little bit. Fantastic event, tons of people, everybody had a great time, and it was nice to see like just a big concert and great music and people enjoying themselves. So again, if you missed, it was Nathaniel Ratliff and the Night Sweats was the main band, but great time. So, with that, we'll move on to committee reports. Ambulance.
Ambulance report for
Oh.
July 2021. You want to do it?
I'll do it. Total calls received 38, mutual aid given 1 to Town of Olive, mutual aid received 0. An extremely busy July came to an end with an incredible concert at Bel Air and crews providing medical care to only a few concert goers. Thankfully, nothing was too serious, and the concert that more than doubled our town's population was a wild success. A great bit of gratitude is extended to Bel Air Ski Patrol, who worked seamlessly with our covering crews. On another very happy note, a huge congrats to our town board ambulance liaison, Councilman Kyle Steen and Jessica, who welcomed into this world a beautiful baby girl on July 31st. I'm fairly certain that Councilman Steen would consider this report incomplete if we did not mention, this is a key, that July 31st happens to be Harry Potter's birthday as well. Kyle and Jessica are huge Harry Potter
Such
fans.
nerves.
Which, Kyle, I'm still predicting she's a Hufflepuff. Well wishes to all. It's going to burn them all. And a warm welcome to our newest Shandaken resident. COVID update, as of August 2nd, there are 150 active cases of COVID in Ulster County. We have seen a bit of an increase in the county, however, compared to the peak of the pandemic, overall cases are still low. There is 1 active case in the town of Shandaken at this time. Total cumulative cases in the town since the beginning of the pandemic have reached 117, with 116 recovered. Good job, Shandaken. Thank you to date. We still have had no fatalities. Total cumulative cases in the county have reached 15,494, with a total of 267 fatalities. 15,077 cases have successfully recovered. Stay safe out there. Richard Mullally, Chief of Department, Shandaken Ambulance. Building and zoning. You guys want to take that, or?
You want me to do this one?
Sure.
21 building permits issued, 1 demolition permit, 7 floodplain permits, 36 building inspections, 1 fire inspection, 1 certificate of occupancy, 12 certificates of compliance, 1 stop work order, and 7 violations. Total income was $4,883.
So you're aware, a couple of months ago, we brought up an issue regarding a building on Academy Street in Pine Hill, and the owner was contacted and sent a letter of notice asking him to be in touch with our department, our building department. We have not received word from that person. I think we're giving it a little bit more time before we start legally. We have to do this, give them a little bit more time, see if they respond. If not, then we're gonna start looking towards appearance tickets and so on. And again, condemnation of a building is not taken lightly. So there may be, we may need to hire an engineer to do an inspection on the building to ensure that it needs to be either at least condemned, which I'm sure it's gonna say, but whether it needs to be torn down as a public nuisance.
Is it occupied?
No, it's unoccupied. It has been unoccupied for a number of years, and key is that for quite some time, there were 2x4s holding up the front porch on the building, which is directly on Academy Street, and the boards were actually on the street to hold up the porch. So that got resolved, but we're still concerns there at that building. And it's quite close to another building that's fine. And if we just had a building collapse in Pine Hill, well, 2 of them, basically, one burned and the other one collapsed. We're a little hesitant in Pine Hill. We get a little jumpy when we see these things now. We're like, well, that's coming down next. That's coming down next. So, I see his nodding over there. We know exactly what we're talking about. So, yeah. So we'll be addressing that over the next month or so. Police, who wants to read?
Police.
Yeah, you're liaison.
Police report for July 2021. There was a total of 193 recorded incidents, 24 summons issued, and 4 total arrests. No mileage.
Sorry, Phoenicia Water, Rick's not here. I spoke to Rick the other day. We knew this was coming. One of the filtration pumps has an issue. It may be that it's cavitating within the housing, and it's creating a problem for one of the seals. So this is basically, it's the start of the end of that thing. We need to, at very least, secure that pump housing somehow. It's almost broken away from the base, like the bolts have almost snapped. So that could be due to the corrosive nature of the chlorine in the filtration plant, whatever chemicals that are there. But we're gonna have to seriously look at this, and Rick and I talked about, we're gonna have to look at probably some kind of low interest loan through New York Water is gonna be our best bet, because previously we've done low income surveys in order to try to match low to moderate income levels for federal grants on these things. And just with the home sales recently and the income levels of the people purchasing these homes, we were right on the verge before of being too rich, believe it or not, too rich of a community to qualify for the grant. By this point, right now, if we had all the respondents answer, we know we would. So it's not even worth the effort to go through the whole survey process, which is quite elaborate. So we're gonna look at a grant or some kind of loan or a bond to try to get this job done. It is a priority at this point for the water district, and we really need to look forward to this. And it's really not a burden that the water district needs to take on. We tried to find a way, we've applied for grants. We just gotta piecemeal this thing and get it done. So that's where we're at now.
When you say New York Water, is that DEP?
Oh,
Oh, it's just New York Water?
New York Water is,
Oh, there's a-
yeah, it's a not-for-profit group that does
all
this for municipal water supplies, rural municipal water supplies. Pine Hill, I want to say thank you, Ethan Bernstein, our new district supervisor for Pine Hill Water. He's slowly been working with Donnie to get up to date on all the things that go on at Pine Hill. Of note is a large project that needs to come up regarding the spring houses, and it may require like a complete shutdown of Pine Hill water for a day. It's a necessary job that we've been anticipating for a number of years. We do have one of the well houses we think is being intruded by kerosene from the rail bed. It's not from the rail bed, but it's we think it's railroad ties that created this spring and are basically holding the cavern top for this spring house that's built into the wall of the mountain underneath the big turn. It's a complicated issue, but so we need to do something about that spring house and resolve it. So we're trying to do that. That'll be done hopefully through a grant, and we're fairly certain we can get that one. Museum. I'll read. Shandaken Historical Museum, July 2021 report. We have had 61 visitors this month, as well as multiple engagements on our 2 history posts on Facebook, excuse me, the Facebooks. I slipped there. One visitor was Rob Sharp, author of 28, A Mile by Mile Guide to New York's Adventure Route. He spent the entire day and left around 4:30. We just happened to have his book on our research shelf available to our visitors, so I managed to have him autograph it. Nice. I'm still unsuccessful at getting a response from Robert Sass as to when he can finish the job he started in 2019. As far as I know, he's still in possession of a railing and gutter for the roof in the back above the fire escape. There are many more maintenance problems now that need to be addressed. I'm becoming increasingly busy and overwhelmed with the amount of work that needs to be done here at the museum. We will continue to follow COVID protocols. Stay well, Kathleen Lyons. And recreation?
Yeah, I can go.
Go ahead.
So with the cooperation of the highway department, we're working out a date for the Shandaken Dog and Agility Park. Probably because you guys, the highway's behind on paving due to rain. It'll probably be 3rd week of August. We have all the material in-house. I think there was a little discrepancy with Home Depot not delivering everything at once. But we have all the material, so they're gonna pull it, put the posts in, and then volunteers are gonna come in on the weekend. So once we have a firm date, Joyce will post it on social media, and we'll try to get as many volunteers to come out. Other than that, the Big Indian Park, we received our disc golf baskets today for our 3-hole disc golf course, finally. It's been a long wait for those. And with the help of local resident Liam Doyle, he's already been down mapping. He cleared out one of the fairways already and one of the spots where the basket's gonna go. So that should be a day project, hopefully this coming weekend. So that'll be up and available next week, probably. And that's it.
Very good.
Pamela, did you have something to say?
Oh, you mentioned this park? Where is it?
The dog park?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's Glenbrook, right on 42.
Glenbrook Park,
Yeah,
okay.
we're just replacing the fence.
Gotcha, okay, thanks.
With that, we'll move on to public comments on resolutions. We'll get to open public comment after, but comments on resolutions? Going once, going twice. Joseph?
You mentioned that those 4 properties
Yes.
project. When did you start this project?
Originally, started way back in 2014, 16 is when we had started initial conversation with the CWC. And
So
then,
basically like 7-8 years.
no, but the project itself was awarded last spring.
Okay, I just wonder, what's gonna happen with the project with the main street in Pine Hill?
That's
Because
not a
has nothing to do
resolution
with it.
tonight, so we'll talk about that after.
Okay.
Thank you.
Oh,
You
one more
started right.
thing- One more thing, the house which you burned down, what's gonna happen with that?
That's not a resolution, we can discuss it after.
Okay.
Resolutions only, we'll discuss openly after, thank you. Okay. You had me going at first, and I was like, where's he going with this? Why does he care about Shandaken though? It's all good. So without comments, we have no motions. Resolutions. Go ahead.
Resolution 9721, resolution to pay all bills. Whereas the Department of Audit and Control require town boards to sign and inspect all vouchers coming into town for payment to number and total amounts from each fund. Therefore, be it resolved that the town board authorize the following vouchers paid: from general, $34,405.23; from highway, $334,708.58; Phoenicia Water, $3,687.81; Pine Hill Water, $1,175.52; Phoenicia Lights, $998.71; Chichester Lights, $157.16; Pine Hill Lights, $574.56, for a total of $375,707.57. Now move to adoption.
Second.
Board Member DeSclafani?
Yes.
Board Member Van Blarkum?
Yes.
Supervisor Stanley?
Yes.
Resolution 9821, resolution authorizing change order for contract with Contractor regarding, quote, remote sites for Shandaken Septic Maintenance District. Whereas the Town of Shandaken Town Board operates the Shandaken Septic Maintenance District, SMD, and whereas the SMD required the services of a contractor for the repairs and installation deemed necessary for the SMD, which included the purchase of a property for 4 residences that each required a remote leach field in order to meet the, quote, 10 state standard as prescribed. And whereas after months of negotiation with the town was unable to reach an agreement with the landowner, not the resident/owner affected, regarding a necessary easement for one of the sites, which will require a redesign by the engineer and subsequent construction. And whereas the town had previously awarded the construction bid, including the, quote, remote sites, to Evergreen Mountain Contracting Incorporated, 25 Evergreen Mountain Road, Westkill, New York, 12492. And whereas the town wishes to complete the 3 accessible sites and work on a redesign for remote site number 4, Vitarius Residence, and eventual construction site number 4. Therefore, be it now resolved, the Town of Shandaken Town Board authorizes Town Supervisor to agree to the change order for the remote sites recommended by the SMD engineer and attorney with Evergreen Mountain Construction Incorporated, and move its adoption.
Second.
Board Member DeSclafani?
Yes.
Board Member Van Blarkum?
Yes.
Supervisor Stanley?
Yes. Resolution 9921, resolution accepting bids received from recent auction of random municipal vehicles, equipment, machinery, tools, and parts. Whereas the Town of Shandaken Town Board recently approved placing multiple municipally owned vehicles and random equipment and parts from a variety of departments through Absolute Auctions and Realty, 45 South Avenue, Pleasant Valley, New York, 12569. And whereas the auction has concluded and a detailed report given to the town regarding return for each item, and whereas the town wishes to accept the bids to release the items to the bidders, and whereas the following items were due to be sold: general vehicles, 2005 Chevy Trailblazer, bid price $450. 2007 Ford Explorer XLT, bid price $425. 2013 Ford Taurus SEL, bid price $1,950, for a grand total on the general vehicles of $2,825. Highway vehicles: a JCB Sitemaster 214 Series 3 backhoe loader, bid price $19,800. A 1998 Ford E350 ambulance, bid price of $1,550. A 1996 International F2574, bid price $950. And 2001 Dodge Ram 3500 ST dump with plow, bid price $2,300, for a total in highway vehicles of $24,600. Miscellaneous highway equipment and parts, detailed list available at the town clerk's office upon request. 51 items total: dump body, generators, bumpers, engines, engine parts, and other assorted plows, pistons, pumps, bolts, etc. Total miscellaneous highway equipment and parts, bid price $12,140. Total auction sales, $39,565. Therefore, be it now resolved that the Town of Shandaken Board accepts the bids and releases the items to the certified bidders or their legal representative, and move its adoption.
Second.
Board Member DeSclafani?
Yes.
Board Member Van Blarkum?
Yes.
Supervisor Stanley?
Yes.
Resolution 100 97-21, resolution approving public assembly permit for the Phoenicia International Festival of the Voice. Whereas the town of Shandaken, a town board under section 59 of the town of Shandaken Code, has the sole authority to approve applications for the purpose of public assembly in excess of 500 persons. Whereas the town board recognizes the benefit of public events to the economy, and the town also recognizes the necessity to provide adequate protections and a safe environment for its residents and participants alike. And whereas the town is in receipt of a documentation illustrating compliance under the law, providing the necessary insurance, permits, security, parking, lighting, sanitation, emergency and evacuation requirements. And whereas the town board is satisfied with the application from the Phoenicia International Festival of the Voice for their event to be held in Phoenicia, New York on August 27th through August 29th, 2021. And I move its adoption.
Second, with an amendment. There was a tagline on this that basically said, first off, there should be a therefore,
Okay,
stating what
therefore
we're
be
doing.
resolved, yes.
Yeah, and that would be therefore be it resolved.
Yeah.
Secondly, that it's to state, there was a line that stated that this resolution, a certified copy of this resolution shall be deemed a copy of the permit and shall be hung in a
Oh,
public
okay,
view,
yeah, yeah.
something like that.
Okay. Board Member DeSclafani?
Yes.
Board Member Van Barcom?
Yes.
Supervisor Stanley?
Yes.
Resolution 10121, replace summer rec personnel. Whereas under section 20 of the town law, the town board shall designate all appointed officers and employees of the town. Therefore be it resolved that the following personnel be appointed to the Shandaken Summer Recreation at the following rates. Recreational specialist at $450 a week, $13.54 an hour. Rebecca Shearer. Returning counselor at $305 a week, that's $12.71 an hour. Isabella Solis. Retroactive to June 21st and June 22nd respectively, and move its adoption.
Second.
Board Member DeSclafani?
Yes.
Board Member Van Barcom?
Yeah.
Supervisor Stanley?
Yes. Yes. Whew. That was busy. With that, we'll move to open public comment. Go, Joe. Come on, Joe.
So the easy one, the house which burned down,
Yes.
is there any, time schedule when it's gonna get clean or?
That's up to the landowner, and from what I know, he is currently in negotiation with possible purchasers, and I think there's discussion of who's gonna clean it up. I do think that Howie should go up at least and ask him to put up some snow fencing to secure the site so that it's inaccessible from foot traffic. But for right now, it's on the landowner. It's not really posing a threat, and as long as he secures it with some fencing to say stay out, that's the best he can do, and that's what he's legally responsible to do.
So there is no way that the town's gonna tell him, clean up the mess?
Not right now.
Day?
It literally happened like a couple months, just a month or two ago, a couple months ago. And it was a fire, and he's trying to deal with it as best he can, but I don't think, really, it's just secure the site at this point. It's unlike the other where you have a building that's a little scary.
Right.
This is it's a pile of debris that needs to be secured. And eventually, yes, it does need to be cleaned. But again, from what I know, he is currently in negotiation with a couple people about it, and included in that is that they are responsible for the cleanup of that site. So it's kind of hard also to pursue him, knowing that he may sell it within a month, 2 months, 3 months, or more. Like if it gets.
There's no rule on the book, there's no time limit or anything?
There is. But at the same time, we can start going after him, and then he sells it, and now we're after the wrong person. We got to start from square one anyway.
What
So
is that time limit to?
I couldn't. Howie's not here, and I couldn't tell you exactly what that is. Believe me, we're aware of it, and we want it cleaned up. The landowner's very open to it. Like it's just a cost he can't really incur right now, and he's not getting any money for it. I mean, it's just a box. It was really not worth a lot, safe to say, but the property is worth more than the building was. So that's the issue. Right now, it's not, it has become a lingering issue just at this point, but if it starts going a little bit further, yeah, there's gonna get to a point where we're gonna hit a tipping point on that. So, yeah, it is being addressed. I will say that. We are talking to them.
This Main Street and sidewalks repairs, that project died, or is it moving?
No, we figured
somewhere?
we're just gonna pave the whole thing. I'm joking. Oddly enough,
Yeah, we'll take it.
so oddly enough, again, sorry, but I was out. But circumstances have changed regarding Pine Hill. And I'm not gonna say, I'm not going to go much further, but situation has changed dramatically for Pine Hill, whereas the biggest holdup was the storm water. And the storm water required sand filters as close to the floodplain, but not in the floodplain, in Pine Hill, on a lot in Pine Hill. So if you think about the pitch of the road and how everything goes towards Lake Street and properties that come out of the floodplain, and there's recently a parcel that may be available to us that we've started talking to, and we need to get DEP and CWC, spoke with them today. No, again, I came back to the office last Monday. Spoke to them today personally, and they said they're gonna look deeper into it to see whether we can move or not, and we may be straightening out the storm water stuff. If we get the storm water approved, then we start talking sidewalks and pavings and all that stuff and what we want to do with this, where they go. Because again, as I said before, when we had those meetings in Pine Hill, there was questions about the sidewalks, and what had happened is we went around and some of the landowners changed, and they changed their position, so they were willing to give property or not give property based on it. And some of them just changed their mind and said, I don't want to give this up. And other ones said, I'll whatever to get a sidewalk,
So
fine.
who's responsible, if that sidewalk is, that person's property, he's supposed to be responsible for repair, right? Like the town should be responsible for.
No.
repairing the
So,
main street.
okay, so hold on. So the town is responsible for the street and the sidewalks because it was owned by the village at the time. When the village dissolved, it deferred to the town's ownership. So it is the responsibility of the town to do that. But why, again, why do the effort to improve if it's gonna get dug up, we thought, soon enough?
Yeah, but it's not happening, so just.
Okay, just, again, this is a process, and we've said this all along. These grants don't just plop in you. Again, we just had a conversation about the American Rescue Plan money that's due the municipality and what you can and can't apply for. And again, that's like going through FEMA, where you have to have such detailed reports that some of the things are not worth filling out for a volunteer, mileage of a volunteer delivering food. Like, you gotta give them VIN numbers and stuff of the vehicle that was used, and how far they went, and where they employed. And there's a lot of things. And
But these are the potholes in the.
hold on, but the potholes, you could certainly talk to him, because I'm talking to Eric because I got one right outside my driveway that I hit.
Wait, I just have a question, Rob. If something magical happens, that maybe the two things Joe was talking about combine forces, and there is a building or lot at the end of the street that gets taken over, what would the timeline be? What would happen next?
We've never done it before, so to be honest with you, I don't know what it would take. I know that the last time we went to DOT to talk about sidewalks, and knowing what we're going through right now with Peck Hollow Bridge, which is 3 years, which was supposed to be a 2-year turnaround and a cost of $900 and something thousand for a replacement of a little bridge on a hollow. That project cost has now gone up beyond $1 million to like 1.3, I believe.
1,250,000.
Yeah. Because of holdups within the permitting process. DEP didn't want to give access, or DEC didn't want, and we've been back and forth with engineers, and killed a lot of money studying and studying to death to try to satisfy, just to get this bridge. It's an existing bridge. We just want to put a bridge back so it doesn't fall down. And it's like, we could have done this on our own for probably half the price.
Is there some way that the people of Pine Hill can help move this project along?
The people of Pine Hill, as I've said before, can coordinate together, create a group unto themselves, and come here and say like you're doing right now. But again, there's a process that has to be followed regardless. If we go sidewalks, I know we're not going to put a special district. You could do a special district and pay for everything. But you're talking millions of dollars that'll go on a few hundred people's backs for maybe the next 30 years. I mean, that's not the way we want to go. We want to try to get as much grant money as we can, limit the cost to the town, and depending where it all falls, we'll see
But
where.
it's not happening, you know, whatever.
Not right this second. We don't know where to go with the stormwater. Joe, why am I going to build a house and then put the plumbing in after? That's what I'm getting
It
at.
has to be done.
I-
The street has to be repaired.
Okay.
You know how it looks, you know how it looks.
Joe, I do. Joe, I do. And you know what? And it's things like this where you're not listening. I'm trying to explain. You're just getting angry about it. And you need to calm down. I'm telling you, this is a process. You want to go through the government to do it? Fine. If you want to create your own not-for-profit group in Pine Hill and start applying for these things, you're still going to have to get town easements and stuff in order to get access to those roads. So it's got to be done municipally. And municipally, it requires, prevailing wage costs, all these different things that is, DOT themselves said the minimum width of a sidewalk for them, even in a historic district, they find ways to make it 5 foot wide. We don't have room to put 5-foot sidewalks on each side, and DOT would require that to be ADA compliant. So there's issues to be resolved. We want to keep the historic nature. We want to try to keep it looking good. We want to solve it as quickly and easily. I mean, if we could put curbing in and compact some gravel for the time being after the stormwater's done, again, know that those stormwater drains may need to be accessible. We don't want to be cracking concrete all the way down to hit a stormwater drain because there's a little crack in it. You also have complications with the existing stormwater that runs forever through everything and under everybody's buildings. That's what's going to happen to those things. Is it going to back up and go into their buildings? We don't know. Don't know, but we got to find out. I mean, that's more in depth. But we're not even at a stage where the DEP is willing to accept our plan to put the plumbing in the house. So I'm not going to go about building a house without knowing what the plumbing fixtures got to be and where they're going.
Potholes then for a second?
Yeah, potholes he can certainly address, and
Yeah, but, so we've had the potholes in front, I'm here specifically for the community center because I'm redoing the patio. And going up to the patio, we have like 3 or 4 pretty big potholes that have been filled over the years. But then they, I feel like if we could jackhammer all of that out and pour a whole.
is that in the front of the community center?
Yeah, just right in front, but it's your property, it's the sidewalk. Yes,
Oh.
sidewalk. So you'll be coming down the steps from a new slab that we're pouring this fall into a pothole. Is there any way we could, our cement guy said he would pour us a new
The
sidewalk.
problem is the highway department can't work on sidewalks. Sidewalks are general fund, so sidewalks have to be contracted and done by the town board, not by the highway.
Can we pour our own
Sounds like it's
sidewalk?
part of the highway department, but it's not.
But the main street can be fixed by.
I disagree with that, but
Flat,
I
What about
wholeheartedly
just
disagree with that.
The Pine Hill Community Center sidewalk, it's maybe 25 feet in front of the center, fit maybe a little more.
And again, someone sent me a sketch of something that
I
you guys
did.
wanted to do out there, that cannot happen. We plow snow all winter long.
Well, no, we're in the same, how we came and looked at it, it's the same
Yeah,
footprint
that's-
we're in.
Okay,
But
if
you
there was
didn't
something you
respond
could
to
move
my-
away in the winter, that's a
You didn't
different story.
respond to my email to tell me that it couldn't happen.
Great.
I wanted to talk to Mr. Stanley first before I went. and
I've
started.
sent multiple emails over the past 2 months.
I
And
just got it.
Howie
a week
came
ago.
out and met with me, we looked at all the plans on a full permit, but we're just in the same footprint that it's in now.
But you can't put something right on the edge of the property line.
Right, so it's not at the
It's
edge
not.
of the property line, but
And if it was something that was there in the summer and you could pull it back in the winter, that's a different story.
I can walk you through it. It's the same, we're just basically jackhammering up what's there and replacing it. My concern is the sidewalk in front of East Front Street. So,
Burns, I'll stop by and take a look.
okay, great,
I'll see what you're talking about.
okay, good.
Additionally, there's a giant gaping pothole in the parking lot. Who's responsible for that?
I took pictures.
I've seen it.
Again, the parking lot being gravel, it's real, again, you can see Brios goes through it all the time. It's loose gravel and stuff. We can compact it, put some item 4, we can dig it out and put a big patch of item 4 in there. Once it's in there loose, unless we sit there and watch it and tamp it every day for a couple days or something, it's really not gonna hold its spot. And there's no guarantee.
You can never get in there.
It's where everybody's shock hits the same spot. That's what happens, so. Yes, ma'am.
I kind of feel like it's a lawsuit waiting to happen. Like, it's not just in front of the community center or the Pine Hill Arms, but somebody comes out, breaks an ankle and is litigious, and their cars get to, I feel like it's gonna cost more perhaps for the town if
Okay,
something bad
like I said,
happens.
I'll take a look again. I wanted to talk to Eric today about the trench that's developing on our side of the street.
Yeah,
That's just
exactly.
digging and digging, and now everybody's backing out of the driveways, and the back bumper of my car's hitting the road. That's not.
Work our way through town with the fire.
Yep. So,
And
Yes, sir.
rains don't help.
I just want to say one more comment. I think also, and you mentioned because of the popularity with the concert, the recent concert, and how,
yeah.
what a boom it was for all the local businesses and everything else. And I think that having like our streets that are with potholes and things like that, it doesn't represent us well. And I think that it behooves the town to be able to enable, just the community in order to sort of present, our best face forward, even if you're just patching, the potholes, just so that, that it looks decent. It looks,
I don't disagree with you at all. I don't. And again, I said this at multiple meetings in Pine Hill, I'm in a difficult spot because I'm with you. I get everything you're saying, but I'm not here to be an advocate for Pine Hill. I'm here to be an advocate for the town and try to get everybody equal attention. Believe me, Phoenicia has their concerns about sidewalks and issues down there too, and they want us to resolve, and that's a completely different one where we don't even have ownership of the sidewalks. So, and we know we don't. It's on the landowner. That'll be disputed, and people will show me papers, and we'll show other papers, and that's where that stalls every time. But yeah, everybody's got their things they want to do. We have calls for trash cans now. We want on certain streets in one particular hamlet, but don't worry about the other hamlets or parks. We have a bear problem. No, we don't. We have a people problem.
Yeah.
And if you don't pick up your garbage, I mean, I got to say, I was in Phoenicia most of the day on Sunday for the duck race and stuff, which was great. That was a great time, always. And I didn't see much garbage floating around or anything like that. I saw a bunch of people having a good time by the bridge. I mean, I don't know. So people said there was garbage floating everywhere. People were just dropping their wrappers and things. I think we're expanding things well beyond, what's the reality of the situation. So, but we are trying to address it. I did speak with somebody at CWC, and we are going to move forward with what we hope can move quickly with the stormwater plan. The other thing was the parking study, which we tried for the grant, I think 2 times, and were denied for whatever reason. Didn't score high enough, didn't meet requirements, whatever.
What's the parking study?
Just to see, well, again, to know if we're gonna take up sidewalks, we need to know how many parking spaces you need for how many people can, as Angel said, it's as many people as can come into town or park there for the restaurants and leave, and, transient parking and then full-time parking, things like that.
And the bigger issue is that Pine Hill was built on a plank road. So if we're gonna put in ADA compliant sidewalks, which right now they're bluestone, which were magnificent at one point and they're shattered. If we're gonna put ADA compliant sidewalks in, you're gonna lose, 4 feet of road. It's already basically a one-way,
Yeah,
so that study would be able to figure out where we can put additional parking, where we can put that excess flow of traffic. And then there was even talk about, should it be a one-way road, which I think is a terrible idea, but you know, these are all questions, they're not disparate concepts. The waste, the stormwater, the sidewalks, the municipal lot, the potholes. They're all related.
Quite honestly, the biggest problem we have municipally is that intersection with Elm Street and Main Street is a huge, huge, huge problem. Why UCAP put their bus stop sign in front of the restaurant there on the corner is they had a perfectly good spot next to the kiosk on the opposite side of the road that they already have the other stop on. I don't know what it is. 5-gallon bucket with concrete just landed there one day and they said that's their stop. We're gonna move that bucket, I think.
Is there a way that we can patch, fill the holes in the parking lot, patch
That's
some holes on Main
coordinating
Street?
with Eric. Again, we're doing some paving in Mount Tremper, so maybe we'll have some paving material and we can patch up what we can. And then he was saying about maybe go down and, what'd you just say? It sounded like you were saying about maybe skim coating.
Yeah, one guy retired, one guy had his knee replaced, one of those guys, I don't think his back got hurt on it. And another guy was working on it, so I was working on it too. So I just hired 2 temps. One of the guys that was knee replaced just came back. It's kinda hard to run a crew, paving and doing stuff when you don't have a crew. And it rains. So we're way behind as usual.
So we'll get in the schedule as soon as we can.
Well, I can send a cold patch truck up there, right, and that goes out, but it's all hands on deck to work paving, we don't have enough guys as it is. And doing all the parks, we got cemetery now, which takes a whole day with the crew. And if we get more cemeteries, we're gonna have to hire more people. I mean, just getting to the point where we have so much to do with just parks maintenance, that it takes up so much time from our road maintenance. We almost need to have a parks department or parks crew this summer. Take one of our guys and put him in a couple
Department of
temps
Public
for the
Works.
summer.
Isn't safety the priority for, say?
Safety is there, 62 miles of road. I mean, it's not just one spot, it's everywhere. We try to do, we put out fires everywhere, it seems like.
Yeah, I mean, we
don't have the money to do what we really need.
we've got slope failures next to roads. We've got infrastructure failures all about, and stuff we just can't, we coordinate with, Cornell Cooperative and Natural Resources and stuff to try to get, and we're successful on these, we're getting these grants, but it takes time to get these work
Cornell's
done.
getting a bridge study.
We have,
That's happening probably later this year.
yep.
Sign?
Yeah.
There's a bridge at the top of town and the bottom of town that are probably gonna have to be replaced.
Oh, that reminds me of something else, but soon, we'll continue. Are you guys, any more? I mean, we'll address it.
I understand where you guys are coming from. I started this stormwater project probably.
It's before me.
13 years ago.
Yeah, it was,
That was with me.
it started with him.
Started with me.
So that's how long I've been trying to get this done. This is how things move. It's very disappointing.
Well, it doesn't help with Irene. It doesn't help with the engineer that just bailed on us for 2 years and then finally admitted on bailing. All these different things. So, anyway, we are working towards it, and I'd be more than happy, if you guys want to get a group together and sit down and we can go through the details of this. More than happy to discuss it
Can that
with
just
you.
be the 2020 committee?
That used to be the 2020 committee, and I asked somebody to run it, take control of it, and
So if one of you wants to lead that committee,
You may have some.
it is yours.
well, so again, I'll tell you this, that
2020, we used to meet all the time.
I was very heavily involved with 2020, but I don't live in Pine Hill anymore. It was a totally different community when that committee got
That's when it
started.
all went to hell.
Yeah, I know. I was the trouble person in
Why
town.
did you leave,
Yeah.
Kevin?
But, Councilwoman Storms is the liaison to the 2020 committee. So by all means, if you guys get organized, contact her and we will all sit down and have a meeting with you guys.
Rob, I'll contact you so that we can talk about the community center.
well, I'll stop, I'll stop over and we can chat right at the table, I can tell you, but if we want to set up a meeting, again, advocacy,
Wednesday at 11 meeting.
advocacy groups are always good, a benefit for your community. Again, Big Indian Alveria is very organized in their beautification efforts and in the efforts with the park. And they send out their own letters, we provide for the cost of the mailings, things like that. We don't provide a lot of cost involved, except when it comes to the park sometimes. But most times they've been very good at getting volunteers and just getting people active in the community. It's really taking ownership of the community as a group. Phoenicia has their Phoenicia Business Association, which advocates for them and issues that are going on down there. We really need to coordinate as Pine Hill. I hate to say it, but since it's dissolved, and from my perspective, Pine Hill was like the unwanted stepchild of Shandaken. It fell in their laps, and understandably.
We know that.
You had this whole thing fall into the town's lap, and they weren't prepared. Much like we had to deal with the cemeteries, it was just like, here, you have to take them over, and there's no say about it. And you're all of a sudden in charge of finances and all this cost that you didn't incur, and trying to get involved. But it's slowly been improving, getting more attention to Pine Hill, just basic attention. And then, yes, of course, we're looking to get improvements, so. Is that?
Just
Will
because
be.
I don't know, do any of you know what's going on with the beautification committee in Pine Hill? Because Barbara Hagstrom was kind of the
Yeah, I
champion
think
of that.
Bob's,
I kind of took over the sign garden, like weeding and
Okay.
stuff, but very basic. She
and
Yeah.
Bob,
goes to the work.
Bob Savacool's helping with that as well,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, yeah, he
Perfect.
puts on the seasonal decorations,
Yeah.
yep.
Yeah, that's another great way
Yeah.
to advocate for the town.
On another note, we do have a bit of good news, and I'm sorry I didn't announce this at the top, but for years we've been talking about all our efforts with flood mitigation and what we're trying to do and promising, discounts and trying to save and resilience and all these things. We ended up applying for what's called Community Rating System, or CRS, which is, there's not very many communities within the state of New York that are on this list. Basically, you have to show that you've been doing mitigation efforts for some time, that you're following up regularly, reviewing what you've gone over, and we do annually. We go over projects that were listed, ideas that were coming up, where they stand, whether they're prioritized, so on and so forth. On top of that, we had to get documents that we have to standardize that may go out with your taxes, may go out annually in a newsletter, something along those lines, and regarding flood mitigation and efforts, and trying to figure exactly how that's going to work. Like, we may do it as, we had a brief conversation, Joyce and I, about doing a quarterly newsletter from the town, explaining all different things, and just having a section regarding flood, which would satisfy the requirements. But it is quite a bit of work. It took us a few months, and of course FEMA, being as speedily as they are, had to review it for 6 months before telling us whether the application was going to be good or not. Then 6 months told us, update this, you'll be good. We did our updates, had to wait another 6 months, and they had to see all the proof of us following through on it, sent inspectors, they picked random houses to look at, everything met code. And we have to continue to do this annually, give these reports directly to FEMA to stay in the CRS system. But at the beginning of this month, we received a letter from FEMA stating that the town of Shandaken was successfully accepted into the Community Rating System program. And at the level of mitigation and effort that we have put forward, now know that this goes on a rating from 0 being the best, which is not one single municipality that has a 0, and I know of one in California that has a 1, and they do really just, it's like San Diego, they do a ridiculous amount of stuff to get that number 1. 9 is the lowest, which is basically you walk in the door and you can get a 9. So we're at a 6-7, which entitles, as of October 1st this year, entitles every landowner who has flood insurance under the federal insurance program. You will receive a 15% reduction annually on your flood insurance cost from here on. Once you renew your policy, the home is sold, or if the landowner chooses to purchase a policy. The only thing it won't affect is if you decide to get flood insurance and maybe your structure is outside of the flood plain, then you get what's called a preferred rate policy. There is no deduction on that, but that's only a few $100 a year. So it's good news. It's good savings for many people. It should be good for the housing market. Not that it needs any more help. The prices are up there, but it's good. I think it's good news for the long term, and we're going to try our best to continue to maintain that and hope we can continue to pass on the savings if we can improve to get a 20% reduction for the town. But it was a very good news and long, hard work, and I want to thank Aaron Bennett and people down at Cornell Cooperative, and there was a multitude of people. I know Kevin worked on it with Safari, I've worked on it, Eric's worked on it. took a lot of people and a lot of effort. Ulster County Office of the Environment was involved. So thank you all very much. Thank you for the effort. And for those of you, hope you see this discount. If you don't see this discount come October, let us know and we'll find what the issue is. Okay? But glad we could get it done, finally. With that, we'll go to I'm sorry. Mrs. Rice.
Thank you. Maybe Kevin can answer this.
Oh, boy.
About the concert to Big Indian Park.
Yeah.
Is it like still the third Sunday of the month or something?
That's what it was this past month.
There's one
but
more
yeah.
coming up.
Yeah.
I got it on the
I think it's the weekend
website.
before
I left the
Labor.
one thing, it
Yeah.
has all 3 dates.
I
We
think,
already
I
did
think it's
2.
the weekend before Labor
weekend
Day, which would be
before
the
Labor Day
third.
The same band.
So probably the same
They
weekend
just
as the
had.
Voice Fest. It's
I
probably that
don't have the
afternoon.
calendar with me.
That'd be a nice closeout. Go to Voice Fest, and when they're closed up, you head up to Big Indian and catch a free concert in the pavilion. It's a nice day up there. I have to say, there was a lovely memorial for June Lamarca they had a couple weeks ago. It was really nice to see people remember that lady for great lady she was. God bless.
Rob, we
Anywho.
only had 1 death, and that was Duncan. There was no other deaths in town.
Okay,
Did you have one?
was who?
Duncan the dog.
Oh,
No, that was it. I put a rest in peace out there.
Okay.
That was it.
I'm like, what? With that,
And my
we have
Betty.
no deaths. As Joyce reported, sadly, we learned today, for those of you that know, Duncan, the mascot for the MF Whitney Hose Company, which I'm sure you've seen, was a giant white mastiff owned by Kerith, who lived in Phoenicia and helped with the fire department. Sadly, Duncan passed this morning after many years, and to the delight of children and everyone in Phoenicia. It was a real, he's going to be a character that's missed. I will say that we have no human deaths to report of within the town of Shandaken for this month. So with that, I'll entertain a motion that we adjourn.
I'll make that motion.
I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you very much. Enjoy your evening, folks.
Took you a minute to hit your stride there.
Oh, again?
Knocking the rust off the wheels.
Yeah, pretty much. I'm telling you, I'm sitting here and I'm still shuffling papers. I'm going, what? Wait, that's the wrong order.
Yeah.
I was like, yeah, there was a moment there where I was just like, what are we talking about?
Duncan's dead.
She said Duncan. I'm like, what are you talking about? Why didn't you just write it on the resolution list? Why didn't you put it on the agenda? Maybe we'll see which.
Hope so.
Well, if he's not, we'll go to the cabin.